This is another one I flopped on because the more I thought about it, I picked Kansas State earlier in the morning when we were getting ready for our picks and flipped to Texas. Can I tell you my main reason why?
Yeah, I was a little – I didn't even really notice that you went Kansas State until you texted me you wanted to switch it.
I went back and watched last week, and I normally don't like using games, okay, when it's just last week. Mm-hmm. All right? But I had to rely on that one solely because it was the only game that I had of Malik Murphy, really, right? Like in the spotlight. Now, the reason I picked Kansas State early in the morning because I was like, Malik Murphy ain't beating him. I don't like him enough right now to say that he beat him. But I'm so glad I went back and watched this game because everybody around Malik Murphy got better. Like, it was like Sarkisian went to the entire team and said, listen, man, this is this kid's first start. You're going to have to step up. That O-line stepped up. That running game stepped up. And I don't think that Sark really and truthfully, Xavier Worthy with the punt return for a tutty, okay, the running game getting going. I don't think Sarkisian called a good game. I think he called a horrible game. He's trying to do these little fake reverses, little screen passes that you see in the NFL. And Malik Murphy got popped right as he's turning around. He fumbles the football. Okay. BYU almost recovers it. He called a horrible game. So they still won by 30. They still won by 30 plus. Everybody around Malik Murphy got better. I think that I said this last week, so this is I don't want to say this would be my lock by any stretch because I was leaning one way earlier. Mm-hmm. I just think Texas is going to suffocate Will Howard. I think the key for Kansas State here is not Will Howard. His name is Avery Johnson. Why they are not playing him, I just don't know.
Okay, here's the thing. I think Avery Johnson is going to be a sneaky, really good player in that conference.
Avery Johnson,
he's not there yet.
2 weeks ago, Joe, he had 4 drops.
He's a tight end playing quarterback right now. He needs a little time.
Taysom Hill win games for the Saints. I saw him win 6 straight.
Everybody, okay.
Kentucky. I saw Kentucky with Lynn Bowden run the Wildcat the entire game and go 10-3.
It's a good point. But I don't know, man.
That kid is good enough with his arm that if he needs to throw that thing, he can throw that. You going to trust Will Howard?
I trust him a little bit more. And I understand the coaching decision. I don't know if I trust one significantly more than the other. I understand the coaching decision of having a guy who started the season and then to confuse.
I agree. I'm not saying that.
Confuse the rest of your roster. He is a key weapon. Getting him involved is going to be really important. Here's how I look at it. If Kansas State does win this football game, it's going to be because they do get Avery Johnson involved. And then on top of that, DJ Giddens, I think, is a really underrated running back. He has been phenomenal. He is a big prospect name to pay attention to at the running back position. Their offensive line, Cooper Beebe, when he's in there, he's healthy. He boosts the quality of the rest of that offensive line. Without him, they're kind of mediocre. There's not really a next guy up that's the next elite player. It's a group of one and then a bunch of just guys. They got to get that run game going. They got to control the time of possession. But plain and simple, we watched this. I already was duped by Kansas State when they went into the Missouri game. I picked Kansas State pretty aggressively.
You picked them against Oklahoma State.
Look, plain and simple.
The 2 times you picked them. The 2 times you picked them, they lost.
I watched these freaking guys get cooked by Luther Burden.
Watch them
honestly. Look, what happened against Missouri is really good proof of what's going to happen this weekend. Luther Burden, that passing attack, completely cooked that Kansas State secondary. They don't have a group good enough to cover Xavier Worthy, Adonai Mitchell, and that the remaining
Malik Murphy might not be able to get it to him. Dude, he's
not that bad of a quarterback, though. Look, if Brady Cook, wait.
The rainbow, he's okay.
If Brady Cook can have a freakishly dominant game against Kansas State, I think that Malik
I don't
Murphy,
like transitive properties that early in the year.
But it's not a transitive property. I have examples
if this guy can cook, why can't this guy cook?
That's what I'm saying. I think that Malik
I
Murphy
know
is
that's
going to
what
be
you're saying.
fine.
Transitive properties don't work.
Yes, it does. We have an example of a
No,
secondary getting their asses
no,
kicked, and I think that they're going to get their ass kicked again.
no. That Malik Murphy, but Joe, the eye test shows you that Malik Murphy is not ready. He's not ready, and he ain't. The team around him picked him up.
Yeah.
Joe, if any one of those units offensively does not play their best football last week against BYU, I know that, and Blake, you're going to say, well, Blake, what are you talking about? They didn't score. They didn't, I've seen him. I saw what he did. The turnovers were abysmal. You cannot do that against Kansas State. I don't care how bad you think Kansas State is. If you turn the football over against that team, they're going to whip your ass.
Well, Missouri turned the ball over against them, and
I do have to make a 60-yard field goal to win. And again,
Texas is better than Missouri is.
You called out Missouri. Missouri's 7-1.
But I'm not using Missouri as an example to say that a bad team beat Kansas State. I'm using it as an example to say a similar style team in Texas already beat this Kansas State team. The transitive property works when I can make connections between rosters and play style. They are a much more, even without Quinn Ewers and when Malik Murphy is playing, that receiving core is going to be open the whole day. If there is a game for Malik Murphy to get into a rhythm in his second start, it's going to be against this secondary.
Here's a transitive property for you. Are you ready?
I don't like math. So no,
it's not that hard. Alabama played South Florida and beat them by 14, 17-3. Remember that?
South Florida is a top.
Hold on, stay with me. The next week, they absolutely just manhandle Ole Miss in the second half.
Okay,
they beat Ole Miss. Don't have an SEC loss,
but that's without Jalen Milroe.
And where's Quinn Ewers?
I don't think that those things are the same as what I'm talking about.